Hello, welcome to Recapping with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Recapping Podcast.
Also, comment, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We would love to hear your ratings of the movies and shows we review.
Email us your audio file to recappingpodcast@gmail.com and we will play it during the show.
Or DM us on Instagram and we will post and read it on air.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you.
Delora, how's it going, girl?
Oh, it's going. How about yourself?
I'm good. It is Tuesday, and you guys know what that means. Time for another recap. This time, it is a film we have talked about, we've enjoyed, we've mentioned multiple times, especially in our last episode. So if you have not listened, please go back and take a listen to our headlines and hot topics. And that film is Free Guy, another Ryan Reynolds vehicle. We might be fans. We might. Dropped in theaters on
our favorite Ryan.
Our favorite. On August 13th, 2021, and released on Disney Plus and HBO Max on February 23rd, 2022. The biggest difference between the two streamers is because this is a 20th century and Disney film, Disney Plus has all the extras. So if you guys want to see some of those deleted scenes, if you want to see some of the extended footage, such as how Dude came to life, which was very interesting because I didn't even know that was a real person, check out the Disney Plus version. All right. Director, Sean Levy. Him and Ryan must be best friends at this point, don't you think?
Absolutely. The new Leo and Scorsese.
Or well, I guess I shouldn't say Johnny Depp and Tim Burton.
Oh,
Johnny Depp and Tim Burton.
Yeah.
So, quick summary. A bank teller realizes he's a minor character inside a massive video game and decides to take control of his destiny. Cast: Ryan Reynolds as Guy, Jodie Comer as Millie, aka Molotov Girl, Little Rail as Buddy, Joe Keery as Keys, Utkarsh Ambudkar as Mouser, Taki Watiti as Antoine. Congrats, by the way. I heard you and Rita Ora are engaged. Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And Channing Tatum as Revengeman Buttons. Reviews, Delora. Rotten Tomatoes, 80% critic score, 94% audience score, and 87% of Google users give this film a thumbs up.
It was a surprise hit of 2021.
It was. Give me your grade for Free Guy.
All right, Ashley. For Free Guy, I appreciate the originality of this story, which is, the opposite of what we talked about in our last recap with Sneakerella. Check it out. It's an adaptation of Cinderella. I appreciate all the new ideas behind this, and everything was a lot of fun and colorful. I'm not a gamer, so I knew certain things through, pop culture lens, but there's some deep cuts that I'm sure I overlooked. It was a lot of fun. I give this movie a B. How about you?
Okay. Ditto on such an interesting concept. I really enjoyed the ride. First time I watched it, I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, I loved this movie. So because of that, I gave this film an A.
Oh, okay. That's what's up.
I know. That's a high grade, but I mean it. All right. Spoiler alert, guys, as we get into the film. Delora, my first question for you is, did you know what this movie was about when you started it?
No. And I was very intentional on keeping it that way.
I had no idea either.
The marketing was like almost nothing.
I was on the ride with Guy. Apparently, Ryan Reynolds did a lot of marketing after it was like delayed and all that stuff happened, like a lot of iterations of different marketing pieces, but I didn't see any of it either. I remember the only thing I saw about this movie before I watched it was I was in the airport and there was an interview with like Jodie, Sean, and Ryan, and I had no idea what was going on because I just saw him in character and her in her Molotov girl costume. So I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, okay, whatever this movie is, Ryan Reynolds, I'll probably watch it eventually. Shockingly surprised by
Well,
how
it's
much
so
I enjoyed the
funny. So
concept.
for me, I had no idea. All I knew was Mariah Carey gave them a shout out on Twitter and Instagram. I was like, oh my goodness, Mariah's okay with this. Okay. And then, of course, shout out to Lil Rel. He was on his winning streak in 2021,
All the
being
features.
all the
He
movies.
was the Lil Wayne of 2021 films.
And I think we've recapped at least, this is what, our third or fourth one he was in from
It's been a lot.
year.
It's been a lot. Because he was even in the
Fatherhood.
Photograph.
Yep. But I was thinking
many.
just last year, it was Fatherhood, obviously, Vacation Friends. And then he was so proud of it. I saw his social media saying, like, you know, this is the 5th movie I was in, and it's a hit. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my goodness, Little Rel, come through. I have no idea what this movie's about.
He did his thing again. So we start with a voiceover from Guy, and we are in Free City, where the people who wear sunglasses are the heroes, causing all sorts of mayhem and destruction. Meanwhile, Guy works at a bank and wears the same outfit and has the same daily routine, yet he thinks Free City is paradise. It was very Truman Show-esque when we first got started, but violent.
I want to be that happy. I genuinely want to be that happy.
Or that delusional, whichever.
Oh, it's the money for me. Like, just him being happy. I think he barely had $200 in his account. Oh boy.
Did Free City feel like paradise to you?
Absolutely not. If I were a gamer, probably, but all the shooting and violence and blowing stuff up and all that, it's a no for me. How about you?
I would agree with that, even though, as a society, unfortunately, we've devolved and we have a lot more violence than we've had. But I'm going to say it's a hard no on wanting to see or work in a place where, there's a robbery every single day. And yeah, I'm good. The only thing Guy seems to notice missing in his life is love. He wants a woman with an offbeat sense of humor and an obsession with feel-good diva pop, aka Mariah Carey.
Yep.
Enter the woman of his dreams, Delora. 'Twas love at first sight and song. Again, Mariah Carey, fantasy is one of the biggest themes of this film. But she is one of the sunglasses people. Sunglasses people don't talk to non-sunglasses people. That was a little bit hierarchy-ish.
I was just about to say, for this to be quote unquote paradise, what's the deal with the caste system?
We realize the girl of his dreams is a real person and that Free City is actually a popular video game. She is suing the publisher of the game and playing it to look for evidence she needs that lives inside of it. But her appearance has changed Guy in his routine. He takes a pair of sunglasses for himself off a bank robber to chase after her, and he can finally see elements of the game as sunglasses people are actual real players in the real world. So at this point in the film, how did you feel about this setup that we have of going back and forth between real world, real players and the reality that Guy finds himself in, not understanding that he's just a product of a video game?
Oh, I was a little bummed because I'm like, oh, Ryan Reynolds' character isn't real. So there's no real love story, although there is kind of still. I was a little bummed out, but it was, again, very unique. And I was along for the ride.
I so thought they were going to figure out some way to break him out of this video game. I don't know why my
Really?
mind went in that direction. I was like, so we're going to have to find a way to make him a real boy. You know what I mean?
I know. Isn't that what happened in Life Size with Tyra Banks?
It's been so long since
That's
I
a
watched
deep
Life
cut.
Size. Again, speaking of Disney Channel original films,
Yes.
I loved that movie back in the day with Lindsay Lohan and her. But I think I thought of it just like even with what we haven't done Upload, but even with Upload, like he couldn't stay in that place. You know what I mean? Like we need the love. We need the love story. To your point, we're going to get a variation of it. But I had that in the back of my mind, like, oh, somehow Ryan Reynolds is going to be able to get out of this game. You know what I'm saying? So that was where my thoughts were at the time. But Meanwhile, at the video game headquarters, an employee, Keys, has noticed the disruption in fact that Guy, who is a non-playable character or NPC, is not behaving normally. So Keys and his coworker and BFF Mauser enter the game to stop Guy as they think someone has hacked in and is using Guy essentially as an avatar. I really liked this whole sequence of them like chasing after him, wearing these silly costumes, him using sneakers. Again, shout out to Sneakerella. Those sneakers really helped him to get out of a sticky situation. But unfortunately, they got him. They killed him. Or, video game killed him. You don't really die.
Right.
So it turns out that Keys and Guy's dream girl, whose real name is Millie, were partners and co-creators who designed their own video game years prior called Life Itself, and it included artificial intelligence. Tsunami, the company that owns Free Guy, stole their work, according to Millie. Keys had a little bit of a different version. He said that they bought it and shelved it. Millie is convinced that the owner, Antoine, stole their AI engine for Free City, hence the lawsuit. Delora, Millie, and Keys clearly had two very different reactions to what happened to their work. Did you have a perspective on it?
It's so funny. When I was rewatching it, I was thinking, she probably had more gumption because as women, we always have to fight for like, what is ours? And it's like, I know my issue when I see it, and I know that I know my codes is the foundation of all this place, of all of this mess. So I just thought it was interesting, that dynamic. And I mean, that's literally how a partnership could go, right? People have different perspectives on it. I think he just chose the path of least resistance, honestly.
It made him seem like a sellout. Because she seemed so convinced. How did he not have really any doubts about what could have potentially happened with their game? To your point, I think another reason why Millie was so gung-ho is because she's the one who built the AI engine. So she probably had much more invested or much more thought into the possibilities of it maybe, or the potential of it maybe, than he did. But I was disappointed in Keith. I was like, damn, you just gonna go work for the enemy? Okay.
And he was such a jerk too.
Yeah. I'm gonna get to your thoughts on Antoine. Obviously, Guy dying in the video game, as I mentioned before, means nothing because he was rebooted and started a brand new day. And he finally gets to connect with Millie, aka Molotov Girl. But unfortunately, he is not on her level, Delora, player level that he is. She gives him some pointers on getting his score up to over 100 before she can take him seriously. I thought that was funny because I know in video game world, it's just supposed to be like leveling up, but think about how almost like the analogy that is for real life. Like, you're coming to me, you're trying to approach me, but sir, you're not on my level. I need you to go get yourself together before you come back and try to be a part of my life.
In some ways, it's better than her upgrading him. And then let me upgrade.
She's like, I need you to go do some self-work and then you can come meet me back.
I need for you to go to therapy, know your inner child, and then we can have an open, vulnerable relationship.
Then maybe we can be together. Maybe we can make this work. After a few missteps, he racks up points being the good guy, stopping crime and violence in Free City, and people in the real world take notice and start calling him Blue Shirt Guy. Girl, he was even a clue on Jeopardy. Rest in peace, Alex Trebek.
I loved all the cameos in this movie. I was going to mention it also gave me Matrix vibes, right?
Absolutely.
Opening up your eyes to the real reality and, not being lulled to sleep.
Absolutely. And the Terminator, because when you had the scene with him being chased by Keys and by Mauser, I definitely think of the Terminator and the cop who was always able to regenerate and was always coming after them. And so absolutely got a lot of the sci-fi film stuff thrown in there. One of my favorite parts of this whole sequence of him, racking up points was just all the fabulous frames Ryan Reynolds got to wear. He looked really good in glasses. Not that there's any doubt about that. When Guy tried to get his BFF buddy to join him and become a sunglasses person, he refused. He seemed comfortable in the status quo and living his routine. What did you think about that? What did that say about the relationship between them, and also was it supposed to show that Guy was just exceptional compared to all the other NPCs in the game?
Well, I was going to be serious and quote the Bible that says you can't cast your pearls among swine. Sometimes people are just not ready, right? And you got to take that path alone to greatness. Okay. Obviously, Blue Shirt Guy was special, but yeah, it showed that out of all the other characters within this game, something is up with his programming that has allowed him to level up, as we mentioned previously.
Absolutely. It was also kind of sad, I guess, in the moment, because you have somebody who's coming to you and telling you, I can help make life better. Think about how many times you may get opportunities like that and you stay in comfort and you stay in whatever reality you're in out of fear.
Yeah, what they say, progress. Oh, forgive
comfort
me.
is the enemy of progress.
Thank you.
It's the greatest showman on earth.
Thank you.
It's one of my favorite quotes. Yeah, I know we're getting real deep with the quotes on this film, but everything that means something.
This is what happens when you have a conversation with the Cancer, Ashley. We go
and
deep.
A Capricorn.
Very true. We
take life very seriously. Okay.
Oh, seriously.
Thank God I'm a cusp with that Sag. That's where that fire comes in. Anyway, Keys gets involved in helping Millie try to retrieve the evidence she needs, again, that lives in Free City. But it's Guy that ultimately helps her out after her plans go awry, trying to break into this stash house, right? While she's still trying to figure out who he is, because everybody's trying to figure out who he is. Nobody thinks that it's possible that an NPC somehow is doing everything on his own. They do some bonding over bubble gum ice cream. Delora, do you like bubble gum ice cream?
Hell no. I am a cookies and cream chick all day, every day. Shout out, honorable mention to butter pecan, because growing up in my household, we only had one ice cream we could get unless it was our birthdays. My sister used to get Superman, and I used to get cookies and cream on those burgers.
I still love cookies and cream. Still do.
Same.
But I'm
extra Oreos.
I'm a chocolate girl myself. I love black across the board. So chocolate is my favorite ice cream.
It's so funny because for me, my favorite specialty ice cream is anything strawberry cheesecake, specifically Ben and Jerry's. They get that
shout out to Ben and Jerry's. Ben and Jerry's is my
crust.
Fave up there. Appreciate y'all. Anyway, let's get off ice cream. I enjoyed that they never had Millie playing the role of a damsel in distress in this film.
Yes.
Particularly in these action scenes. She was kicking ass, taking names. He was sitting on the sidelines looking at her in awe and in wonder.
Yep.
And that was intentional. If you guys watch kind of the extended scenes that they have where they're talking about the making of Molotov Girl, again, with those extras on Disney Plus, they talk about the intentionality behind her and her look and her feel and all of that. And I love that for this character. Barely not a superhero is what they were going for. Just shy of superhero. We finally meet Tsunami owner Antoine, who is giving both his employees and fans of the game the blues with broken promises and stress over the upcoming release of Free City 2. Give me your impressions of Antoine.
Well, it's so funny because, I know him to be a director and an actor outside of this film. He definitely was hamming it up, though. It was like, I'm going to give you Jackass, but I'm going to turn it up to 10. Because he was like a little brat.
He was.
Yeah.
I think it was supposed to speak to gaming culture. So I'm curious
the immaturity
of it. Yeah. Like the being essentially a big kid, a child in a man's body. And just the way that he went about life and business. And that's no offense to gamers. I'm sure y'all watch this and we're like, this is ridiculous with the impressions. Some of y'all. But I enjoyed Antoine just for the fact that he is exactly what I would imagine somebody to be like of that stature within like the gaming community who is capable of like the deception that he's done to make this game what it is. And also just like the way he treated employees, he was like, I think they said it best when they're like, he's a like a mixed mashup of like Steve Jobs, an evil villain, and like a comedian or something. Like he
Yeah.
had all the makings of like a terrible leader, but at the same time, very good, obviously, at what he did that made him so successful, like a Steve Jobs, but he was also villainous in his intentions.
And that's why people still follow him too, right? Because they assume that he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. But when I say villainous, it's because as Keys discovers, we discover when he comes to Millie, Guy is AI, artificial intelligence, the first real artificial intelligence. And the code to Free City is indeed there. So that he really did steal their game build and put it into Free City. Some of the other NPCs have been progressing as well, which Keys notes, like the barista learned how to make a cappuccino. One of the other NPCs wrote like a scathing book, manifesto, like all these things that they've been getting into kind of behind the scenes, which is fascinating. Do you think that you would watch a video game that had their original concept of just watching characters evolve? I mean, it kind of reminds you of like The Sims, but on a different level.
No, no. And that's just because I'm just not into it. But I know there's all types of video games out there. To your point, there's Sims where you can, build people and build cities and things like that. It's not all shoot 'em up. I'm just not a gamer. I would rather read a book or watch a movie. Hence our podcast. How about you?
I'm not a gamer either. So I want some of our gamers who listen, I know at least hopefully one or two of y'all are out there, to give us some feedback about whether or not that would be the type of game you would enjoy. I think for me, I would find it fascinating if there was really something groundbreaking about it. Like again, with this whole AI concept, to see growth would be both intriguing and terrifying. So I probably would, like if there was some type of stream of it, like on Twitch or something, I might hop on just to be like, this is wild. But the fact that there are people who watch other people play video games, absolutely, I can imagine there would have been an audience for a game like this. And because it's in a movie, I guarantee you somebody's already working on it or it's already about to come to market.
You know what? I don't even begrudge people who sit up and watch other people play video games, because for many years, I used to sit up and watch women put on makeup, do their hair, natural hair. Obviously, I feel like there's something practical you can get out of it, but that doesn't negate the fact that we're watching people do something. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And I mean, gaming is the number one money-making entertainment genre of anything. More than TV, more than movies, more than sports. It's gaming. So,
and if you have the right technology, those worlds that they do build are fascinating. David loves Destiny, and you're in space, and the different planets you land on can be very engaging and fun to look at. So
the
you're
fact
also
that
shooting at aliens.
The fact that there's money in it gave me a newfound respect. I went to a huge gaming convention in Daytona Beach within the last few years. And I got to kind of see the machine, because I had never really attended something like that. And not my cup of tea, but I get it. And I was like, wow, like this is really a thing. This is big. There's a sense of community with all of this. People love this. And so, yeah, again, I can definitely see an audience for the type of game that they wanted to create. So even though Keith has come and dropped this bombshell to Millie, she's not quite as excited, Laura, because she's kind of fallen for Guy. She said that he kissed her, and he said, there's no button for that. And she said, oh, he found the button. Okay.
Okay, sis.
I'm covering my mouth because that came out way dirtier than I originally planned. Keys and Millie, though, set out to prove that Free City uses their code, but they only have 48 hours. Always has to be a crunch, doesn't it? Before Free City 2 launches, replacing Free City 1 and all the characters within it. This is when you hit your Matrix moment, Delora, because Millie has to go back into the game and break the news to Guy that it's not real. The game is not reality. And he does not take it very well at first. He has a bit of an existential crisis. So good old buddy comes through with some gems to get him back on track. How would you feel if you found out that this life wasn't real?
Yo, I don't know, man. I don't know. That would be crazy. Especially if it's your reality is a lot worse than what it is, right? If we were plugged up, there was this movie with Jude Law, I think, and Forrest Whitaker, and it played into the sci-fi realm, and they were trying to, they were the poor guys beating the big establishment. And the way that movie ends, spoiler alert, they're all hooked up and they're in paradise, but they thought they were in paradise, but in fact they were captured by the powerful people and, essentially imprisoned in their own mind.
Awful.
That is terrifying. You know what I mean? And that ending stuck with me. I'm going to look it up and I'll let you know before the end of this recap the name of that movie. But man, that would suck. It would just suck. I don't know what I would do.
I think that's a good perspective on the fact of what is real, what is actually real if this isn't real, and is it going to be better or worse? Because I've said multiple times, like, when things are going well and such, if this is the Matrix, don't wake me up, like, don't pull the plug. And then other time, go ahead and pull it. I'm over this. Let's see what else is going on. I think because of watching so many TV shows and movies, at this point, I would not be shocked if I found out this news. But at the same time, I would have that whole existential crisis. Like, what does this really mean? What difference does any of this make to anything that I'm doing? I think to the saying of ignorance is bliss. Ignorance really is bliss in these sorts of circumstances.
Yeah.
Because then you're completely upended. Your mind is never going to be able to let you rest with this news and this knowledge, right? You're always going to be trying to figure out, what's real and what's not and what else is out there to a certain extent.
It was Repo Men and it came out in 2010. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Well, guys, let us know what you would do if you found out you were living in a video game. What does this really mean? All right. The scene that took me out in this film was between Channing Tatum, Ryan Reynolds, and Little Rel. Everything.
I love Channing Tatum. He's had a weird go, though, these last couple of years after the divorce, I feel like. But
I just feel like I wasn't ready. I did not expect it to be as funny as it was, as over the top as it was, as ridiculous as it was. And I appreciate that Channing Tatum will go there. Like, he really gave me such an entertaining moment. And Ryan Reynolds and Channing Tatum together need to do another film. So I enjoyed their chemistry.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
After realizing Blue Shirt Guy is losing him money, Antoine pushes for a system reboot that resets everything, including Guy. But Millie is the key that brings him back to life based on code that Keyes created. Once restored, Guy shows Millie the evidence that their original game build is hidden past the horizon in Free City, which is seemingly impossible to reach. Guy enlists the help of the other NPCs to go on strike so that they couldn't be used in the game. And Antoine and company pull out all the stops to try and keep Millie and Guy from getting past the horizon, including a jacked up version of Guy named Dude. They also booted every player from the game. And when all else fails, Antoine goes ape shit with an axe to the servers. Delora, there was a lot going on.
A lot.
As we tried to wrap up this finale.
Though.
Yeah. It was tough to watch somebody go at Ryan Reynolds. Again, I didn't know it was a real guy that is portrayed in this film. I thought it was all like CGI, but no, they just CGI Ryan's face.
On that guy. Yeah.
That was interesting in terms of the technology and the technique that they used. That was another one, guys. Again, that was a clip that was available on Disney Plus to watch if you care to see kind of how Dude was created. And also give the man who played Dude some props, because you didn't get to see his face in the film. So he deserves to be seen for who he really is. His body
was insane. I mean, it's insane. Like, wow.
I think I got really frustrated once Antoine got to the servers, because I'm like, is anybody going to stop this man?
No, because they're terrified.
Yeah, that was very frustrating. But thankfully, Keyes was smart enough to keep a stream going of the game so the world could watch when the truth was finally revealed. And you finally got to see the portion that existed and that was stolen. Millie ended up having to make a deal, though, with Antoine to keep him from destroying the last Free City server. But thankfully, it didn't work out in his favor anyway, because Free City 2 was a disaster. And Millie and Keyes' gang Free Life was an indie success. Delora, as we wrap this film, Millie has to go back into newly created free life to say goodbye to Guy while realizing he's based on the feelings Keys has had for her all along. Who knew this was truly a love story? I thought it was so cute.
Yeah, that definitely took a turn. And it also makes so much sense. It was just so heartwarming. I really appreciated how they broke that down. Like, no, this is if Keys was wrapped up in a game, all of his affections would be towards you. And I'm just like, oh, this is everything.
And I love me some Jodie Comer. So
I didn't realize she was so young. I never got a chance to get into Killing Eve, but she just looked
never too
older
late
to me in that show. But she's young.
I think it's because she's playing an assassin, right? So it's really
true.
It's just such a rough character.
Yeah.
So you don't usually think of someone young portraying that type of role, but she does it to perfection. Villanelle is a complicated, interesting character. But I thought it was super cute. And even though Guy doesn't get the girl, he gets his buddy because Buddy lives, Delora. It seemed like he was gone once everything was getting torn down in Free City, but thankfully he pops back up in Free Life. And so as usual, theme is love across the board. It's not just romantic love, it's also the love of friendship, which we know because I love you. So
I love you too.
All right. Do you feel like as we're kind of closing out the film, Free Life was a bit closer to paradise now? You had the opulence of trees and shrubbery and, it looked a little bit more maybe like a paradise of someone's dream.
It was definitely calmer. It's still not my paradise, but still, it was great. It was great for the film.
It was an upgrade from Free City.
I would say so, yeah. Because again, you got to think about it. Free City is marketed towards more than likely young white men. So none of that, the guns and the hot babes and all that really was for me or interests me. Mind you, I think we had this conversation before too. It's like, growing up, I had an appreciation for frat boy humor just because that was the humor of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, thank God I'm not there anymore because there's so much more sophistication and humor that's available to us now, i.e. Schitt's Creek, Modern Family, things like that, Abbott Elementary. So I think that's why it's like, it's not really my paradise because I'm pretty sure it's not meant for me.
I'm sure it's someone's version of paradise. I don't think they wanted to make it look like heaven necessarily. And that standard of paradise, I think they just wanted to make it look more like a paradise if you could go to some nice
utopia
town or city, right? Where you don't really have problems and worries and things like that. So in that case, I think they succeeded. But what are your other final thoughts on Free Guy?
I absolutely love the originality of the story. To your point, we're in this world within a world, and the story that ultimately has a foundation of it being a love story, which, I love. And so it was a lot of fun. Ryan Reynolds was Ryan Reynolds in this movie, but again, a lot of fun. Wonderful seeing Keys because, shout out to Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
You think they're going to do a second one? I think this is great standalone. I don't think they really need another one, but
I don't think they do either.
So successful. You know how studios get sometimes.
Sometimes it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of thing. Like let it be what it is. Let it be great, because I feel like if they try to do a sequel, it's going to be unnecessary and then it's going to tarnish the first one. So I think leave well enough alone, guys. Let this live. But let's go back to my thoughts from the Adam Project. Do you feel like he had better chemistry with Jodie Comer than he did with Zoe Saldana? Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth.
Real in this movie.
Tell me the truth. Because I have to tell you, I thought about it again and I said, my thought stands. His chemistry with so much, it seems so pure.
It was very innocent in this, for sure, which again I love. Yeah, I am picking up what you're putting down, Ashley. Looking back at the Adam Project, it does appear that Zoe Saldana was doing all the work.
Yep. You better bring some of that energy to my good sis Zoe. You better bring some of that energy.
And I wonder if Zoe felt like she had to compensate because, you know how these tropes are, hot Latina or whatever, but he was not. There was a pureness, though, in this that was palpable, unlike the Adam Project. So I will give you this one, Ashley.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. That's really my final thoughts on Free Guy. I just needed that validation. And just to say again, I loved this movie. Watching it the second time, I was like, yeah, I remember. I really loved this. It was a fun ride. It brought me joy. It's one that I would even, again, if I still bought DVDs, I'd probably buy this because it's one I feel like I could watch over and over and over again. Yeah, it's just one of those for me. There's just certain ones that stick. And I'm like, yeah I could watch this on a loop. I wouldn't mind. Yeah. So this was one for me, which again, I think is why I gave it an A, because I know my taste. I know what I just want to consume constantly. And it lives up there for me. So Ryan Reynolds has not missed in my mind as of yet. So keep up the good work, sir. Anyway, Recap Nation. We are out for the recap today. Thank you so much for listening to it. Let us know if you have any thoughts. Gamers especially, we want to hear from you on this recap. Let us know. Delora, what you got for hidden gems this week?
Yes. All right. My first hidden gem is absolutely nowhere near hidden. It is Netflix original series Stranger Things season 4, volume 1. The crew is back, and
they so grown.
Oh my goodness. Comparing season 1 to season 4 is like so freaking grown. Night and day, and they're still adorable. But when I tell you this season is way more scarier, I know that's not proper English, but it's scary. And I think it's kind of giving me Harry Potter progression, how things got like darker as they got older.
That's a good comparison.
The story, it took a while to get there, but they did a really good job. And I cannot wait for the second volume to drop. It's been consuming me since Memorial Day. We finally finished it last week, and I just had to talk about it. It was fun. And again, I am anxiously waiting for the second half of season 4 to drop. All right, my second hidden gem. It's one of my favorite podcast. They have a visual show on Revolt. This is called Earn Your Leisure. They talk about personal finances and investments, and specifically through the African American experience. They interview a lot of interesting people, business owners, and sometimes celebrities. And I specifically want to highlight their conversation with Jemele Hill, the famous sports journalist. And she just talks about the business of journalism, how, her not favorite, but the beloved show, His and Hers on ESPN, she was making less money than her co-worker, and they were doing the exact same job, and the importance of negotiating your salary and knowing where your coin is and investing in what you believe in and know. So many great gems in that conversation. It's available on YouTube, again, on the Revolt channel. It's about an hour and 28 minutes is long. It's a podcast, and so it's on video form, so I always have it in the background while I'm working. Excellent conversation. My final hidden gem this week is up there with my love of all things old rich lady stuff. This is The Great American Tax Sale with Martha Stewart. It is giving me all the posh, all the...
I was very surprised that this was on your list. I have to be honest.
I loved every moment of this.
When this was announced as a mid-season show, I was like, what?
It is so random, but it makes so much sense. You know, Martha Stewart is all things, you know, waspy, you know what I mean? And her estate in New York State was expansive and wonderful. And she had all the stuff. I guess she closed all her offices and stuff that, of course, she had around her estate to sell. And I'm like, I've never heard of it called a tag sale. I only knew it as a garage sale. And the way my allergies are set up, I'm not really one to really go to those. You know what I mean? That and the way my spiritual self is set up, because I'm like, we're going to be praying over all the stuff coming into this house, because I don't know the energy and the people who had this stuff before me. Okay. But it was a lot of fun. Of course, she had some celebrity cameos with Sunny and Joy from The View. Kris Jenner wasn't necessarily there, but of course she put her bid on some things, and in Kris Jenner's form bought all of it. She bought all the a particular set, but it was a lot of fun and it's worth a watch. It's available on Hulu. It originally showed on ABC. Yep, that's all I got. How about you, Ashley?
And correction, I didn't mean to say mid-season. I meant to say summer premiere. I have 2 hidden gems, which are previous hidden gems, but season 2s have dropped for both of them. So I want to show them some additional love. And that is Hacks and Made for Love on HBO Max. Hacks was one of my favorite new series that premiered previously. And so season 2 did not disappoint me. Yeah, season 2 did not disappoint me. You know, Jean, she did her thing on the award circuit for this. So season 2 was still really good, left on a bit of a cliffhanger. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do for season 3. And then Made for Love, I'm on the finale right now and trying to figure out what's about to happen, because it's very sci-fi. It's a lot going on, including some Invasion of the Body Snatchers type-ish going on in season 2. We also have an appearance from Dro from Insecure. He has made an appearance in season 2, which was totally unexpected. So good for you, sir.
HBO family.
Yeah, and tapping into a new audience. Okay, so I'm enjoying both of these second seasons of these shows. I feel like both are pretty original, have very good writing, very good acting. Shout out to Ray Romano on Made for Love for completely departing from his usual. I just encourage everybody to check those 2 shows out. So Made for Love, Hacks, HBO Max, season 2. And that's all I have this week, Delora. So guys, if you can believe it, another show in the books. Do not worry, Brandon. Atlanta is still coming. Your request has not been lost in the mail. We so appreciate each and every one of you every single week for sticking with us, for giving us feedback, for giving your reactions. We love all of you. Thank you for anybody new who has listened, who has recommended us, who has shouted us out on IG or any other platform. Thank you to all the love on YouTube, guys. We cannot believe some of the love we've gotten there. Like, thank you all. Be blessed. We'll see you next time.
Bye.